Welcome to
Season 1.
episode 21?
21, that's right.
See, I knew what it was last week, but I can't count. So
Dropbear and Panda Save the World, episode 21.
21.
You guys have done 21 of these?
21.
And we have in this chair, right over across the living room, we've got Dan!
Yay!
So, Dan, why the heck are you here?
Well, I think we need to step way, way back in how we know each other. So I know Jen from when she was sleeping with somebody else.
Oh, fun.
Her previous husband.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy.
So this got awkward really, really quick.
It's like right over a cliff.
You're welcome.
Oh, my God. He's a plant. I see what's happening.
You know what?
Wow.
I like Mike a lot better.
Oh, thanks,
Well,
man.
Yeah.
who wouldn't?
Appreciate that.
I mean, yeah.
And you know what? I want to say, I think you guys are awesome together. I love how creative you guys are together.
We're pretty
And all
creative.
this awesome stuff that you're doing. I love Mike. First time I met Mike, he was wearing a kilt. I'm sorry, it wasn't. Well, it was a kilt, but it was
a utilikilt.
a utila kilt. So
Which
yes.
some people will claim is not a kilt at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Go.
Callum.
Callum Laken.
Oh, actual Scotsman.
Yeah,
That's okay.
So, so, and I'm pleased to be here in your beautiful new home.
Yay!
It's lovely.
You helped in the transition.
I helped slightly defrag. I used you because I needed to use your giant garbage bin to get rid of some stuff that I also needed to get rid of.
I don't know if you've heard this, but we actually told our listeners that.
Yeah, I think that's episode 17 or 18, I
Yeah.
think. It's just like, yeah, Dan was there. There's like some guy dumping shit in the dumpster. And I was just about to go and give him the what for.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, this is an opportunity.
Yeah.
I just don't have enough stuff to make the trip to the dump, but I can come to Kensington.
Totally.
Yeah.
I also complained that you didn't take any of my stuff with you.
Yeah, exactly. You had a lot of interesting stuff, but none of things that I wanted.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Civil War books.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. I kind of knew you were this big World War. Is it specifically World War One or Two?
My first fascination was with the First World War, and then I learned about a story about my great grandfather when I was a kid, and then it just sort of grew from there. But I never really cared about the American Civil War because I'm not American and whatever.
Or civil.
Okay, I hear you. Okay, Jen. Enough about you. Let's talk about me.
Okay.
Let's talk about Dan. So let me set this up. So, Dan, you're a very busy man. You left a New York Times interview to come here. That's probably not right.
No, well, I had been thinking for a while. I was like, I'm sharing some stuff on Facebook that I know you guys see because we're Facebook friends, and I know you have a podcast, and I was like, given what I'm doing right now, I understand the relationship between media and media provider to share content and provide content, and I'm like, I am a readily available source for Dropbear and Panda.
Hell yeah.
The New York Times has called me.
Yep.
The National has called me. We're doing The Current Monday. I'm doing an interview with German TV on Tuesday morning. I know. And so all this is happening. So I made a post, like the day the New York Times day was like huge. I was like, oh man, this is great. And so I was like, how do I share this on social media without humble bragging? So I did it like, I got an interview with the New York Times, but I can't get a phone call from Dropbear and Panda.
Yeah.
And
I was like,
and I'm like, you guys have had fucking Badger on.
that's true.
And I'm like,
our Russian correspondent.
yeah. And I'm like, I can't get a phone call.
Yeah.
So this is no, I've asked to be on other media before. Yeah, we bothered other media. We bothered CBC and other people say, hey, you guys want to have us on your show? So I had no, what's the word? Compunction?
Yeah.
To contact you guys to say, let me on your show.
So, Dan,
Just for the pure fun of it.
why should you be on the show? Any show. Like, what are you doing? Why are you
Because
so important?
I tell you, I'm kind of a celebrity. I'm kind of a big deal now. I don't know if you guys know this. I founded a group well over, it might be 2 years ago now. I founded NO CALGARY OLYMPICS. And when I say founded, I mean I built a website and I staked out some social media claims for a group called NoCalgaryOlympics.org.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was just we're trying to. I was very. I think it all started with the whole arena debate when that was happening, and it doesn't take a lot of research to learn that the most arena deals, as they happen in most cities in North America, aren't a great deal for the city. Cities end up buying all this infrastructure and just handing it over to an NHL franchise, and the NHL franchise reaps all the rewards. And so very little research was required to come to that determination when that conversation was all happening. And so when Nenshi first floated the idea, air ballooned up the idea that a group of Calgarians were exploring this idea of trying to get the Olympics, I said to myself, who is this group of Calgarians with a spectacularly bad idea, and they apparently have access to the mayor. I have lots of bad ideas, you know. I don't have access to the mayor. So going into the arena thing, I was like, you know, let's look at this Olympic thing. I assume it's very similar, and it turns out it is. And, you know, there's a ton of academic research out there to support the Olympics just aren't ever a great thing for the host city. I mean, there's a lot of intangible benefits, you know, warm fuzzy memories, nostalgia, city spirit, galvanizing a city, things you can't really quantify with a number.
Giant flaming tower.
Absolutely.
Who doesn't want that?
Yeah. But, you know,
Hody.
being somebody who lost their job at the end of 2015, I was very fortunate to find a job pretty quickly. I could lose my job any day now. You know, I could be unemployed very easily again. Any of us could. And, well, except for you. You work for AHS, don't you?
I sure do. I love you, AHS.
I wasn't sure if that's a secret or not. You can edit that out. But, yeah, so where was I? So, yeah, I'm mostly concerned. I'm really concerned about the future of the city. I'm really concerned about just the whole world is rapidly changing with the oil and gas sector shrinking. The fact of the matter is we've started to recover, but it's like we've just started to recover. It's like I'm holding my hand. This is not a visual medium.
I want to say it's like 30 degrees.
Exactly. Okay, thank you.
30 degrees.
So I'm holding. Yeah. So we've just started to recover.
To my left.
Thank you. And
his right.
Yeah. So we've just started to recover, and you know, and the fact of the matter is, this looks like a no-job recovery.
What does that mean?
Well, it just means that oil and gas has come back. Oil prices have West Texas crude or intermediate or whatever it is, it has come back, and it seems to be the barometer of our industry. It doesn't really, I think, speak to the price of, you know, Alberta oil sands gas that we sell at a drastically reduced rate. But the fact of the matter is, though the oil and gas companies are running far more efficient and leaner now, you know. So, you know, even though the price of oil is back, nobody's out buying jet skis right now.
Right.
You know, or sea-doos in Alberta. Okay, so yeah.
What?
Yeah, I know. So
it's the barometer of success in Alberta.
But Sylvan
Landlocked
Lake.
Alberta.
it's by ski-doos. So yeah, it's a no-job recovery. The fact of the matter is, and what's come to light in the last few weeks is, you know, the office towers downtown are empty. The property value of those office towers have drastically reduced. So there's this gaping huge tax hole that was created by downtown that the city doesn't know how they're going to fill. They have no idea how they're going to fill. They have a ton of projects planned that are priorities that have been on the drawing board for years, and now they want to throw the Olympics in on this. So anyway, so that's why I'm here. So I'm fighting against the Olympics. I'm fighting for a better Calgary, a better city, you know. And I think the nice thing about all this is, the best thing, if anything comes out of this, is that, you know, we've kickstarted the Olympics, and this whole discussion has kickstarted this. A lot of people are saying voting yes is going to be us putting the gas pedal on asking what kind of Calgarians, what kind of city we want to live in, and defining that. The gas pedal, we stepped on this when we first started talking about the Olympics. You know, we came out saying, you know, what else can we do? other than the Olympics.
So I'm a proponent of the Olympics.
What?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh yeah. Well,
This is what makes things interesting, ladies and gentlemen.
So let me draw it out for you, because
I'm gonna get rid of the weapons in the house first. I think.
So, like, back in the '88 Olympics were the last ones here in Calgary, the only other ones.
Yeah.
And we went through a crippling thing in the early '80s.
Mike's old enough to remember.
I think so is Dan.
Is it the gray beard?
Must be the gray beard. Anyway, so yeah, I've got some nostalgia because I worked during the Olympics, and I think it did a lot of good for the city, like a tremendous amount of good, certainly more good than bad. And that's not to say I'm a fan of the IOC or CODA for that matter. I mean, those are all like really weird, nefarious organizations that always had their own agenda and their own angle. But from a holistic perspective, I think it did Calgary really, really well. Served us well.
How so?
How? Well, I'll tell you.
Do you think it improved the economy after?
Well, here's the thing. I'm no economist.
Okay.
My feeling is that it did. And I know that it's trite to say it put us on the world stage and blah, blah, blah. Because those are all the talking points that always get put out there. I feel that, as a city that participated at that level, and certainly working with the athletes when I was doing my work then, it was a huge benefit for them to come to Canada and see Calgary and interact. And I think those benefits, which I think you called intangibles, are, fairly tangible intangibles. That
I hear you, yeah.
Yeah, it does make a difference out in the world that we're seen in a favorable light, and that people know where Calgary is on the map. I think that does make sense, especially in today's society with social media, everything.
Exactly.
So we've talked about the Olympics last episode and the episode before that.
Yep.
And it took you this long to invite me?
Well, you're busy with the New York Times.
Yeah, we're no New York Times.
We're like down on the...
But there have been a few cities that we have mentioned that have already backed out. So there's only 3 cities left. One or two of them...
Possibly it's going to be 2.
It could be 2. One or two of them actually left, and of course I don't have my information in front of me. Because the public voted no.
Yeah.
The one in Turkey, I think Turkey couldn't do it because they weren't going to be able to get the infrastructure.
Or snow.
I think China or Japan.
Sapporo shelved it until 2030.
Yeah. Yeah, there was Turkey backed out.
Sion had a plebiscite, and they voted it down.
Yeah.
And so right now it's Italy, which is fragile.
Yes. I heard that this morning.
Yeah. I mean, there were 3 regions of Italy that were partnering to put it together. One bailed out at one point, and they recruited another region. They're still trying to make that happen. And then there's, is it Sweden?
Oh, yeah.
There's Sweden and Switzerland. They were both in. One of them's still in and one of them is not. One of them's
still in, but I've heard is they voted in a new city council, and that city council has said no tax money for this at all.
Interesting.
So,
right.
But I don't know, but it still isn't officially dead. It's kind of a zombie Olympic bid, just kind of.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
My understanding is a lot of people don't really want to vote right now because they don't know how much money is going to be put in by the government. But the government has said, we don't want to tell you how much money we're putting in until you vote yes or no.
It's a weird thing.
So I can tell you, what happened first. The province came out and they said, okay, we're going to put in 700 million. That's it. That's all. Not a penny more. And I can't remember if I think that's 2018 dollars, I think. And then
like
the city
$5 2026.
Yeah, and that's no point is the city indicated what their number is. And then a few weeks ago, the feds through Don Braid and the Herald, through an authorized representative, communicated that the feds were in for 1.75 billion, and that dropped Friday before a long weekend, and everyone went, oh, 1.75 billion, what a great endorsement, the feds are really into this. Well, guess what, that's in 2026 dollars. So it's really only 1.5 billion, which is what everybody was kind of expecting anyway. But there was a caveat on that, and that is that the city and the province, to get the 1.5 billion, the city and the province have to match it. They have to come up with 1.5 billion themselves. So between the 700 million from the province, there's like, we're looking at, can someone do the math for me? $800 million the city was going to have to come up with.
Right.
So, and that was, and everybody had said, like, that would be too much. Everybody had said, I think 500 million might be the highest number. So that weekend, we thought, this is dead. And this is the only time that I kind of got emotionally involved, and I was like, yeah, this is done. Woo! And, and then sadly, and that was like around Halloween, and sadly, like I said, like this was like a zombie came back from the dead. Nenshi on the weekend said, this is it. We're probably going to have to bail on this. He kind of veiled it as a threat, and I was like, I don't really think this is a threat to the feds or the province, because I don't think either of them want to do this. Yeah. The 700 million from the province was a perfect number. It was like right down the middle. It wasn't too high to be an endorsement, and it wasn't too low, so the city couldn't even complain. They just had to kind of grin and go, thank you very much, Rachel Notley, that's great. Yeah. And then they resurrected the bid, and they went to, so overnight, so what happened, I think on the following Monday, the Olympic subcommittee met, and they voted to recommend to City Council that they were going to shut down the bid. And then the next day they went to City Council, and they started the meeting, it was top of the agenda, and they went behind closed doors for like 3 or 4 hours. And they came out, and we were like really worried. And they came out and they were like, okay, here's the agenda for tomorrow's meeting. And it was all about winding down the bid. And we're like, oh, this is going to happen. Nope. Fantastic. And then that day, I went to bed. I was like, oh, this is going to be so great. And my wife tapped me on the shoulder, woke me up at 11 o'clock at night to show me the CBC News story announcing that the BidCo was announcing that the city, the province, and the feds have agreed on a deal.
Oh, interesting.
But here's the deal. It wasn't really a deal. I mean, it wasn't. Because, I mean, all it was like, it was a proposal to the city, and the province, and the feds on a deal. I don't remember what it was. It was just really weird. I mean, there was already an agreement. I mean, the province, like, nothing changed. The province's number was the same. The Fed's number was the same. And the city finally showed their cards and had, some numbers. And they've done some kind of funny math. And I don't want to say, like, a lot of people call it creative accounting. I actually think they've done some innovative things to make the numbers work. I don't really understand it because I'm not very smart. My main issue with the numbers, how they made the numbers work, was they slashed the security budget. The security budget for the games is like...
I heard that.
I want to say 700 million? And everybody was like, ooh, that's really low because, well, Vancouver, 2010, was $1 billion. And 500 million over budget. So, it's everybody with any common sense was like, that's a real lowball number. There's no way that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And recently as this week, I can't remember what the group was, but it's a legit group. We can can we share links on?
Oh yeah.
Totally. Like a link, a group that it studies Olympic stuff said, yeah, that number's ridiculous. The number to begin with was ridiculous.
Low or high?
The both.
Oh.
Yeah. And so I mean,
and I might counter that with Munich.
How so?
Well, because that's like they had pretty much zero security, which ended up being a massacre in 1972, right?
Yeah.
Like this is so I think that cutting the security budget, especially in today's climate, is probably a really fucking stupid thing.
Well, it's really stupid, but it's also a little bit of gamesmanship because they think, the BidCo thinks and have said that the federal government will sign on for cost overruns of the security budget. So it's really easy for them to cut the budget and then say, oh, sorry. But here's the thing. The feds are still saying, no, we're not doing it. But you talk to Mary Moran of the Bidco, she swears to God, if we win this bid, the feds are going to sign on that, and they're going to be responsible for cost overruns for the security budget and safety budget.
So Vancouver was in 2010.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that the feds paid a shitload of money for Vancouver as well.
I don't know the numbers, but yeah, probably.
Yeah. So how? So this is my problem. This is why I'm probably going to be voting no.
Fair.
See, Dan's my friend, not yours.
I'm not leaving. Mike is gonna change by the time I'm done with him. I am steeped up to here in this. So
and some people say that this is like, you know, weak arguments, but the federal government says that they don't have a lot of money to take care of, you know, the climate that is Canada right now. The city doesn't have money to take care of the Calgarians and what they need right now. Why are they wanting to spend billions of dollars on 2026 Olympics?
Well, for sure there's that, and also taking into account the province. The province doesn't want to do this either. They are taking heat every day by the UCP and everybody about deficit spending.
Right.
You know? I don't know. I don't come in, like, you know, I don't know what the best thing to do is in this situation. Like, a provincial government in this situation, you're either going to deficit spend or austerity budget. You know, the fact of the matter is also you got to consider that all polls are suggesting we're going to be looking at a UCP in the future. It's probably going to happen, and you know, and Jason Kenney is asking his people to come with ideas to cut, not spend.
Right.
Publicly, he's soft. Behind closed doors, he's a no.
Yeah.
I know that. I've heard that.
Yeah.
So, what's going to happen? You know, there's a lot of risk here for Calgary. What if Kenny gets elected and says, "Yeah, sorry, Calgary, you're on your own.
You voted yes and you got it, but you know you're screwed now." Mm-hmm. I don't like Kenny, so I can see that happen because I'm a terrible
for sure.
Person.
But no, let's you know, fun facts, fact time.
Fact time. Fact time.
Province of Alberta going into debt $1 million every hour.
Every hour?
Yes.
Oh my
federal $2 million every hour. Okay. So listen, I'll tell you. So let's talk to your point. Like it 88 was great.
Yeah.
We got all these great facilities that have become great training facilities for our athletes. You know, I think we're probably a winter sports leader, and a lot of the arguments we hear for 2026 is we want to maintain this and be this winter sports great city. Mm-hmm. You know, there's no arguing how great 88 was, and that we love and support our athletes. But you know, and all that is great, and like we say, it's intangibles, and you know, but there. This is what I said. This is what I said last night. This thing. If you want to be a yes for those reasons, that's great. That is absolutely great. But don't for a moment and Trevor Toome, any economist will back me up on this. It's fact. Don't for a moment think or tell anybody that the Olympics are going to help recover the economy, fill up the empty office towers, or create jobs.
Right.
It's not going to do any of those things.
Right. Okay. I posited this last week, that if I were to go and vote for the Olympics, and I was asked if would you put $100 on it, because there's 1 million of us in Calgary. Yeah. Right. Well, there's more than that, but just simple math. Yeah. If everybody paid $100, that's $1 billion. Yep. Just like that. So, if I were to feel that strongly to put my money behind my vote, and say, you know what, I'll put $100 as yes. Mm-hmm. That would, if people now have to put in actual money to vote, that will tell you exactly where people sit on the matter. Okay. I think.
And I acknowledge, and like Trevor Toome said last night, as for actual tax increase you're looking at for every Calgarian like a 1%, 1.5% tax increase.
Right.
And I can't remember that. That's over so many years. Like it, like really, like it could be. You could say, yeah, it's affordable. I can afford that. You know. But what I'd say to that is, you know, when you vote, we have a responsibility here. You're not just voting for yourself, you know. There's a lot of people who can't vote, you know. There's a lot of newcomers who can't vote. And, you know, you're voting. I think in this matter, people should vote not just for themselves. You should vote for, you know, newcomers to the city who are struggling to, you know, create a life here. You should vote for those people who are unemployed. And, you know, and we're talking about, and you can even expand that out province-wide, you know. There's a lot of challenges that we're having. So, yeah, and so, like, the other argument I keep hearing from the yes side is, you know, we're going to get this huge cash injection. We're going to get billions of dollars being put into our city that we're not going to get otherwise. And it just, to me, is like a bizarre argument that makes my head hurt, because the federal and provincial and city governments partner on things all the time. It happens, you know. And so, yes, they've partnered and agreed on this, and we're looking at billions of dollars coming in for this project. But you know what? We're building a water treatment plant outside the city that costs $1 billion right now that the feds and province and city have partnered on, you know. If you want to build these things, if you want to refresh, you know, your WinSport facilities, if you want to invest in that legacy, then just do it. Just spend the money. You know, it would cost $500 million to probably maybe $300 million to refresh the sliding track at WinSport. Okay, and keep that as a competitive training center. Mm-hmm. You know, building this 5,000-seat arena, I don't even know what the hell that's about. I mean,
which one is that?
They're going to build a new 5,000-seat arena.
For the Flames, or just on top of everything else?
Arena.
Just an arena.
Yeah, but not a but
not a Fieldhouse.
And a Fieldhouse.
Well, so the Fieldhouse, I've been involved in the Fieldhouse for years.
Oh yeah,
I did their logo.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's funny. Like Aaron, my partner, and all this read Frank King's book, and it turns out that the Fieldhouse has been in the city plan for. Hey, Newton. Has been in the city plan since before '88. Yeah, you know.
Well, and they've been fighting so hard for it. And from an athlete perspective, like, because my parents were huge advocates of the field house, and it's weird to me that we don't have one.
Right, and Edmonton's got 3.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Butter Dome and everything else. But yeah, it's bizarre. I don't know why the city never has, and now I understand maybe they're going to. I see some refreshed social media. Yeah. CalgaryFieldhouse.org, I think.
Oh, okay. But let me ask you. So, like, I mean, all this stuff is great. Like, but Newton's got some water.
He's drinking out of his Weiser's glass with us.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's having a drink of this lovely. But I mean, so. But do you think it's really worth all this money and all this risk? Because you got to also take into account every Olympics since this. I shouldn't say every games. All the games since the 1960s, on average, have run over 112% over budget.
Right.
You know?
That is gross.
You know, and so, you know, when you look at what the issues that we're facing as a city and as a province, and what's outrageous is the fact that you can't believe, I don't believe or trust this number that's being put out by the Bidco. What I think you've seen throughout this process is right out of the Olympic playbook, and it's this incremental decision making that's walked us all the way up to this step, you know, and then it's just going to continue. Now we've gotten to the point where the bid book has been written, but they also acknowledge the Bidco is like a draft. I don't know when the Bidco ever actually becomes a solid document that says this is the plan. It can always change, as far as I know. So the goalposts can continue to shift, and the price can continue to go up and go up and go up.
Oh, sure.
So the fact of the matter is, do you think Calgarians now have wherever you stand on whether you're pro games or not, do you think Calgarians have enough information to make a decision on Tuesday?
Well, that is a great question that you posed, Dan. and I'd have to say unequivocally no.
Okay.
Because I think you hit the nail on the head. It is moving goalposts. It's never going to be the same. There's never going to be an absolute number. Yeah. And the number that we're told, we're going to end up finding it's doubled later on down the road. Yeah. And I get that. I think I understand that as the reality of how business / government works.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's one of those unfortunate things. I'm still pro Olympics.
God damn it.
Let me throw out a tidbit that I learned the other day that I found fascinating.
I'll just keep him at home that day. It's fine.
Nice. I don't know much about this world, but apparently in the world of engineering, when putting together budgets, and when you're doing one of these, and for those listening at home, I'm holding up my thumb and moving it back and forth. There's like levels for those numbers, and all the numbers that we know of in the bid book are what they are level 4, which really means it could be this number, but we really have no fucking idea.
Oh, it's like Schrodinger's budget.
Exactly. We really have no clue. It could be this number. It could be wildly off.
Yeah.
So, like, so you're asking Calgary.
Take that, New York Times.
So
you can quote me.
So you don't. So again, taking into account that fact that I don't think a lot of people understand, taking into a fact that it's still, as people vote on Tuesday, Calgarians still don't know who is going to be responsible for cost overruns. Given the fact that, and this is probably the biggest thing for me right now, is why you should vote no, is this. That gaping tax hole that's downtown, that's going to be shifted over to small businesses.
Oh.
Okay?
Sorry, explain that.
So there's like this $1 billion deficit that's been created from the downtown office space vacancy.
It's already happened. It's already happened though, right? Like they've shifted. The city of Calgary has already shifted how they tax stuff. Sure, they did. That's what took out our friend Darren's restaurant on 8th Avenue.
Oh no, I think that's probably been going on a little bit, but if you it's going to get officially worse now because I think the assessments those properties have been reassessed. So now it was reported recently, and city councilors called this, the city's having this come to Jesus moment, quote unquote. And I've heard really alarming information from city councilors saying, oh my God, we are fucked. We're talking, and I'm talking, and you guys probably, small businesses. A lot of us know people who own small businesses and brick and mortar places that are, where, the, property taxes are passed down to the leaseholders, and that is, so there is this massive tax burden is going to be shifted out of the downtown core and to businesses outside of the core. And businesses are not going to be able to survive in this new environment, in this new reality.
Yeah, we saw, and I'll get this wrong because, again, I'm no economist.
Yeah.
But the Bow Tower apparently skewed a bunch of things. So the way that they were taxing that is they ended up taxing the square footage of the footprint, not vertically, only horizontally.
How do they normally do it for buildings?
Well, I'm assuming the owned space per floor.
They don't.
But the Bow got a special deal?
No, I don't. I think they didn't get a special deal. They got what was right. But the problem is the way they calculated it now transfers over to individuals that don't have a tower. So they're now shouldering a burden that's very similar to having a tower, when in fact all they have is a small footprint. And that's what happened with Escoba. When they got demolished.
I always call it Escoba. Am I wrong?
Escoba, tomato.
Are they friends of yours?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm really sorry.
So he ended up getting this wampum tax bill. I think his tax bill, I want to say, was double, which is not an insignificant amount of money.
I remember that when he got out in the media.
Yeah, because he put a price tag on his building, said, fuck it, I'm out.
Yeah, right.
And he ended up fighting. So I think he, and I'll get the number wrong, but tens of thousands of dollars fighting the city on this. And they said, yeah, you're right, it was wrong. So he didn't get the money back.
Yeah.
But they eased his tax burden. Yeah. But then tripled it the next one.
So it's going. So now that was
again,
like 5. That was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so it's getting worse now with the new. I also sidebar. That guy, love that guy. I used to stop in there for a drink in the lounge occasionally. Oh. He had the best iPod mix list. I remember walking in. And Red Autumn Fall was playing. Oh,
serious?
Yes, I was like, oh my god.
Listen, you hear that, Darren?
Yeah. So I can say, you know what? Say sidebar. I was a huge Red Autumn Fall fan from Winnipeg. Like I was there. God. They came to Winnipeg, and I discovered them in Winnipeg, and I was like, this is my favorite band in the world. And I kind of became friends with them. I lost touch with them, but when they came to Winnipeg, I was like their number one fan, and I'd go backstage and hang out with them and stuff with Simeon and Rags.
Simeon, yes.
Yeah, Simeon Ross.
I haven't heard the name Red Autumn Fall for hundreds of years. Like since I was at high school, maybe.
Let's listen to some after this.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Okay, anyway, yeah.
So I now have my little handy computer, phone, whatever, in front of me. Milan Cortina d'Ampezzo, Italy, Stockholm, Sweden, and Calgary, Canada is the last 3.
Yeah.
Erzurum, Turkey, Sapporo, Japan, Graz, Austria, and Sion, Switzerland all withdrew in the last since June, between June and now. There were tons of other cities that were interested, but either didn't put the bid in or decided it wasn't a good idea.
What if we held the Olympics and nobody came? Like, what if nobody decides to host the Olympics?
So you know what? That would be Calgary's greatest legacy. If Calgary bailed, was one of the last 3 cities, and we all bailed. Wouldn't that be great that we did that and forced the IOC to really, truly reform? Right now they're talking about reform. They talk about Agenda 2020. Fact of the matter, it hasn't been demonstrated. Yeah. Calgary would be the first city to, host the games under the Agenda 2020 reforms. But, my thing is with Agenda 2020, it's like, I don't want to be the guinea pig, okay? It's like, your drugged out uncle who's burned you like a few too many times.
Right.
How do you know about him?
Yeah, like, you know what? It's like, and he's coming to ask if he can sleep on your couch.
Right.
It's like, you know what, uncle? You get your shit together someplace else, and then maybe we can talk. Maybe I'll rent you a room sometime. But you go do your thing. You clean up your act. Maybe get a job. Maybe get some new clean underwear, and maybe we can have a conversation.
Maybe
but
talk
right now
about it first.
It's a little too soon.
Yeah.
How much money have we spent so far on the bid?
Well, actually spent what was budgeted, but I'm not sure what's actually been spent yet. But what's been budgeted on the bid is, I want to say, $35 million.
Wow.
It is crazy. Let me tell you something. 88 Olympics, the bid process, $300,000.
Wow.
Is that 88 money or 2018
That's
money?
88 money, but even when you do the math,
Still,
it doesn't calculate.
Yeah.
That's insane. Like, why the bloat, do you think?
I don't know. I'm not nearly that smart, and I'm not nearly involved in, that process. And here's
do you have to pay to bid as you go?
You pay for, like, I don't know if there's as much, there's a fee that you're paying to the Olympics. I don't know. It's just the process of putting together and designing your bid book.
The world is different, though, between now and 1988. Like, the media is different. I
guess.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, Mike. The Olympics are different than it was in 88. If this was 88, if you can have your 1988 Olympics, great. But you don't. The Olympics are different now.
Why?
Because
we're still using gravity and snow.
It's this 800.
What's your issue?
The IOC has become this. Olympics have become this 800-pound gorilla. There's like, it's not even a mega event. It's a giga event. And it's the only giga event on Earth because there's nothing like it.
Except for World Cup.
No. There's nothing bigger than the Olympics. Nothing. It's,
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. Yeah.
And you know what? I'll even say
Still voting
the Olympics are
Ouch.
bullshit. Because you know what? A World Cup medal is just as fucking valuable as an IOC gold medal.
I'm really looking forward to when it comes to North America. I'm just saying that right now.
What, World Cup?
Yes.
Like what World Cup? Like soccer? You're talking soccer?
Yeah. When is it? 12 years or something like that? It's going to be split between Mexico, the United States, and Canada. It's the North American World Cup party.
And you know what? Someone asked me the other night, like, what would it take you to be a yes? And you know what I think the answer is? I really like the idea of, and this is a really simplified rundown version, and there would be a lot of other things that have to come into factor, but I think there should be 4 cities in the world that host winter games, another 4 cities for summer games, and they just cycle through. And the IOC has to be way more invested in those cities, way more cost sharing. The IOC sits on billions and billions of dollars.
Oh, sure they do.
You know, and very few, not a lot of that dollars actually go to like amateur sport.
Let's just punt it back to Greece because they have the money. I'll just
so let me
over here.
so Mike, let me ask you this.
Yeah, sure.
So given everything you've heard,
Yeah.
you know, small business is going to be affected. Mm-hmm. This city needs leadership right now. It needs vision. A field house, a 5,000-seat arena, refreshing the sliding track at Winsport. That's not a vision. That isn't a vision for the city. We need real leadership. We need innovation.
Sounds like he's running for mayor.
Nenshi, look out. Dan's coming.
This city needs innovation. We need innovative thinking. We need... The only thing that's going to save the city is Calgary's entrepreneurial spirit. You know, that's what we need, okay? And what drives me nuts is what we're hearing out of Calgary Economic Development and Mary Moran, who I love. I hugged her twice the other night. It was great. She's a lovely woman. She has said, and I've gone on record, that it's this or nothing. She's gone to Silicon Valley. She's sat in the boardrooms of Facebook and of Google and Microsoft. Those companies aren't coming here. How about instead we spend $1 billion, just floating this, just spitballing, spend $1 billion to make University of Calgary the MIT of Canada, you know, and start
I'd pay for that.
And instead of trying to attract talent to the city in hopes that those companies come here, how about we build it and grow it here?
Not
One
a
idea.
bad idea. I mean, it's,
Thank you.
I put it this way, that's a bit of a logical fallacy. One thing does not equate to the other.
What do you mean?
Well, what I mean is that, you know, sure, Fieldhouse, 5,000-seat arena, whatever that is, and Olympics does not Tech Valley make, right? So I think we're trying to compare two different things.
But I think what
you're getting at is the money side.
There's better things that we can spend.
We could spend money,
trillions of dollars on.
But that's what we're hearing from the Bidco. Is that's how that's one way they're trying to sell it to us, as it is this. They say it over and over again. The Olympics aren't a panacea, but you're trying to sell it as a panacea. Like it's
Panacea.
Cheers to that, sirs.
There is this messaging that's coming out of them that it's going to help fix the city. It's this awesome branding exercise that, you know, is going to put Calgary back in the mindset that just like Vancouver, like I heard from MMA. Her name's Emma May, but I keep saying MMA.
Mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's lovely. She's super cool. I like her. She wears leather pants.
I wear the leather pants.
So. And she said, yeah, Vancouver, like they said after Vancouver, after they hosted, doors were open for them that weren't open before. Yeah, you know what? It is. I hear you. This great branding exercise. And I've heard anecdotes of people who moved to this country because they watched the '88 Olympics on TV, you know, but I don't know. Like, listen, people know who we are. I don't travel a lot, but I do a little bit, and anytime I get in an Uber in another city, they've heard of Calgary. Yeah. But there's no denying that it would be this great kind of refreshing our brand. Mm-hmm. I do admit that, like, for sure. I'll tell you something. If the games happen, I don't want to see one fucking cowboy hat. You know what?
Heidi and howdy.
Fuck
you.
Yeah. Like, seriously, like, you know what? We really need to refresh the city's image.
Well,
and the cowboy thing is cool. That's our history. We have the Stampede to promote that.
Yeah.
When the Olympics come here, we need something different.
Yeah, I agree.
We don't want to promote this.
So what do you think? So there's 3 cities left. If, let's say, Calgary ends up voting yes, what do you think our chances are of actually getting it after we vote yes?
Well, one of the things in our
if the 3 of us keep going.
Yeah. One of the things I was really liking in our early messaging, and I even used some images of Chicago. I can't remember what year Chicago was in for the Summer Olympics. Oh, it was for they were competing with Rio. And they spent $30-40 million on their bid and were really into it. And the city gathered in the city plaza to watch on the big screens the IOC announcing who was going to win the games, and it was Rio. And some of our early messages were all these people standing, pictures of them standing in Chicago Plaza or whatever, mouths agape. Yeah. Oh my God, we lost. Because here's the thing. It is a bid process. Yeah. And that's the thing that everyone forgets. It's like, this is, like, Calgarians and a lot of people had been treating this all along like, oh, this is slam dunk, we got this. Okay, just calm down.
Yeah.
But sadly now, you know what? I do think we got this.
Yeah.
I do think, what? Something was published the other day. One of my team members told me a list of consultants in the city, in each of the potential host cities, and Calgary's host list of consultants is, by and large, surpasses the other 3 cities. And what's really funny is one of the consultants is a guy who we've been in contact with, who's a proponent of the games, and who hosted an event at his to-be-unnamed university, Mount Royal, and put Erin up on this panel that was just completely unbalanced, and she just got crucified.
Yeah.
And she came out of that and she was kind of bummed out. And so to learn afterwards that this guy's an IOC consultant and he's using, his stage at his university to do this stuff, I was kind of bummed out.
Do you know if the other 2 cities are having, like, do all the cities have plebiscites? Like,
no.
Do you think
the Olympic,
the Olympic Committee will be like, well, you know what though? Like, Calgary complained a lot. Like, maybe they don't deserve it, and we'll give it to Italy.
So exactly. So one of the things is sometimes if the IOC gets even a whiff that they're going to be embarrassed by a plebiscite being no, they will bail. They could bail. Which is one of the reasons why the Bidco is pouring $1.4 million into just promoting the bid in the last 2 weeks. Because they want that voice louder, the IOC to hear that voice more than our voice.
It's marketing 101.
It's marketing. But it's not just about winning the plebiscite. It's about making sure the IOC doesn't get scared and bail.
Oh, sure.
Because
but they're running out of options too, which I think, like, for me, this is a fascinating side of this, is that you're down to, because everybody is jonesing for it, you'd think, right? Like, every country wants it, every city wants it, but
not
they
the case.
don't, because now I'm just saying, like, from up until this time, like, that's what I thought. Yeah. I thought that every city would, like,
because you never hear about the no people ever.
Exactly.
Right.
So I think this is a really interesting time to be observing this whole thing. The fact that we're down to 3 cities in the world who want to do this. Well, that should say something.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It's really interesting. And when I got involved in this, I realized that there's this worldwide no movement. I mean, I met with the No LA guy Well, I remember the No LA guy when we were in LA a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Like the Summer Olympics? Like
yeah.
He's like a advocate to say no to that?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. See, the thing is, they never got the ability or the opportunity to really protest it, because for the first time in history, the IOC didn't go through a bid process for LA. They just gave it to LA.
Wow.
Because, I can't remember, the deal was that I think there was LA and Paris were competing with each other, or I can't remember what the deal was, but Paris, it was looking like Paris was going to lose, and Paris kind of communicated to the IOC, if you don't choose us, like, that's it. We're out. We're never gonna even try to host you
Oh,
again.
interesting.
And so they awarded it to Paris, and then to placate LA, they just said, okay, LA, you just have it. And that was the first time they ever did that.
So
Wow.
weird.
Yeah.
Huh. So I do have we're starting to run out of time. Mike's going to make you another drink, and we're going to discuss that in a little bit, because I don't want to spend the whole time on the Olympics, because we're also fun people.
Yeah.
Are you saying no to the Olympics forever, or are you just saying no to 2026? Like, what happens if they're like, what about 2030?
Great question.
Thank you.
Can I say something about that? Great question. When we went in for an interview, this is one of our first shining moments. We went into the CBC Eye Opener for an interview.
Yeah.
And we're sitting I was sitting in the control room, and they have a piece of paper there with it says, "That's a great question," with check marks, and they have a thing going, an ongoing thing. If David Gray, however many guests say that to David Gray in the morning, he gets a check mark. Oh. And so they're in like a competition in the station.
That's
like
amazing.
who could score. And I was like, I looked at Paul Karchit, the producer, and I was like, is that what I think it is? And he's like, yeah, that's exactly what you think it is. I was like, that is hilarious.
So when you were asked a question, did you say, that's a good question?
That's a great question, Jack.
I love that so much.
Where were we? Oh, so yeah, you were asking.
It's a great question.
That's a great question. So, what was I going to say? So, yeah, we like to say we are not necessarily no Calgary Olympics. We are no Calgary Olympics right now. Given our economy, where we are as a city, who the IOC is right now. One of the things there were a couple of opportunities where the city was going to possibly take an off-ramp and bail on this whole thing. We were chatting with city councilors saying, hey guys, you know what? All this work you've done, like with the bid corporation, it's not garbage. You can save it and reuse it. So to save face, you can bail on the 2026 Olympics and say, hey, how about instead we save this for 2030? The process has just been bungled. We were kind of behind some tight deadlines. Things haven't been done well. We're going to re-kickstart this up in 5 years or so. We're going to do things better. We're going to really, really engage in the city properly, engage with citizens properly. Because you have to admit, the public engagement has been horrible.
Yeah.
Like, the public engagement that happened was ridiculous. Like, there was only like a few weeks of public engagement.
Yeah. I'm wondering if... So, oh man, what was the name of this movie? It'll come to me. But the idea that the Japanese, their short-term goals are 50 years, and their long-term goals are 500 years.
Who thinks that far ahead?
Well, this is way back in the day.
Oh, okay.
So if we compress that, I'm wondering if that's not what Sapporo did, is to see all this stuff that's happening right now, and for them to be, like, we're just going to bow out now. Mm-hmm. And we're going to
put our name in 4 years.
And with the acknowledgement that we're not saying no, we're just saying no right now.
Yeah.
As you said.
Yeah.
And that now they'll structure a much better bid, knowing what they know now.
Exactly.
So I think that's a really interesting kind of, way to look at this, is that there was a great way for us to get out of it, save face, and come back at it from another way.
And that's been the most offensive thing to me in this whole process, is just how seeing this machine steamroll over any process, any public engagement. I'll tell you a real quick story that was really interesting. So we've been winning. I feel the online war with. I sound like such a douche. I sound like such a douchebag, a political douchebag now. The air war. There's the air war and the ground war. So we've been winning the online war. Like the online sentiment has been overwhelmingly no. Like we feel, and like looking at us, looking at our kind of echo chamber. It was all no people saying, you guys rock, yes, this is bullshit. And then you go look at the yes channels, the yes guys, and it's all of our people going in and giving them shit also. You know? Like the amount of time that these guys spent arguing on the internet. You know, a lot of my direction that I gave to my team and I thought was really great was we don't argue on the internet. We don't if anyone dips into our channels to say you guys are negative or whatever, say thank you for being part of the conversation, have a good night. These guys were like trying to change people's minds on Twitter, and I mean there's been study I heard of a recent study that proves that just doesn't happen. And I was like, I'm looking at this, I'm like, God, you guys must be exhausted, like arguing on the internet all the time. And I'm just like, they must be so demoralized. So
don't feed the trolls.
Yeah. Absolutely. So what happened was a while ago, it was a Friday, someone from the Yes group went on CTV News and said, look at the Calgary Public Engagement website where there's questionnaires and you can comment and you can vote whether you want to host the games or not. He said, and they made claims that the overwhelming sentiment that they saw there expressing no, 90% of people were saying no, they don't want the Olympics. He was saying that's been gamed. This website's hackable. You can use bots, and that's what the no side has been doing. And he didn't say us, but he just said the no side.
Yeah.
Within hours of that news story airing, a supporter emailed me and said, "Oh, you should check out the website." And I looked on the website, and I was like, oh, looks like that gap's being closed. And I just sat there and refreshed the website, and about once a minute, there was a yes vote. And so I sat there for an hour. Don't judge me what I do on a Friday night. And I watched it go up about once a minute, a yes vote. I sat there for another hour. It went up another. I took screenshots. I woke up at 4 a.m. I checked again. Apparently, you guys, Calgarians, were very motivated that night. Friday night, Halloween weekend. And we're voting around the clock for the next 12 hours.
We're crazy that way.
Yeah.
And what did you hear about the news coming up was that they were bots.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was trying to like crack that news story. Like I was like contacting reporters. I'm like, I got screenshots. Do you guys know about this? This is crazy. I couldn't get any traction on the story.
Oh, no way.
But here's the thing. Like a lot of people think, oh yeah, they're just trying to like show that the Calgary supporting the bid. But in actual fact, you know what they were trying to do? They were trying to demonstrate that the website and the system was gameable. So then they could say, oh, you know what? That 90% no sentiment expressed there, it's garbage. You have to throw it out.
Oh, wow. That's some mad genius.
And that's exactly what we saw the next morning. Somebody tweeted a picture of that gap being closed at one of the yes people. And he said, yeah, it's garbage. Throw it out. He didn't say, yeah, that's right. Calgarians are showing up and showing their support.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they wanted to do.
Dude.
But good news. When they presented the engagement results on Tuesday of this week, I think, they identified that they found that there was botting happening, that they excluded all those votes, over 6,000 votes. And, you know, and it was really funny when because initially they make that statement, but they didn't specify. Right. But then Nenshi asked, he's like, okay, which side was it? And they're like, it was the yes side. And he was like, oh, really?
Bots aren't a big deal. I don't know.
Oh, man. And you know what? I really had to bite my tongue. I was at the CBC town hall the other day, and I went and said hi to Scott Hutchinson, and I really wanted to say to him, those goddamn robots, hey, Scott?
But you're a gentleman.
But here's the thing. We actually had a meeting with Scott Hutchinson and Mary Moran. I wasn't there. But Scott came in and kind of accused our team of botting of doing that and creating that 90% no sentiment that he was seeing on that day.
Oh my god.
And we were like, verb. No. And Aaron, like so Aaron was like, no, we don't have the budget to do that. Dan's an IT guy, but he's not that smart.
Which is true. I mean, it's true, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
So I heard from 660 News that more people showed up and mailed in pre-ballots and showed up at the pre-voting than in the last two municipal government elections in Calgary.
So in terms of like intangible benefits, which I think are now tangible, is that you've galvanized a city to actually care about what happens next, which I think is really cool.
I think the good thing about this, win or lose, Calgarians are asking themselves, what kind of city do we want to live in?
One with the Olympics.
I'm moving out. Everyone, just so you know.
I'm a romantic. I can't help myself.
Are you telling me I haven't changed your mind?
No.
Really?
Yeah, not even a little.
I can't believe
I mean, you're great.
And
a fantastic guest. And
thank you.
Very inspiring. I'm still a yes. I'm down to clown Calgary. Let's do this. Okay. 2026. Boom.
I don't want to be here for another hour talking about this. Oh my god.
You know what? They did I was at this thing last night and we did a panel and they did who was indifferent and whose minds were changed, and I changed one guy's mind last night.
Good for you.
And I was like, I'm going to hug you. And then he was like, I just changed my mind again.
back on the fence.
Please don't touch me. Oh my god. I think whatever happens, I mean, we're not guaranteed to get the Olympics. I have to rush home from work, go and vote, and then go to rehearsal. So Tuesday is going to be a little tight for me because I'm assuming that there's going to be a lot of people at the voting booth when I go after work. So
I'll bring my $100.
It's exciting.
Yeah. It's exciting. You know what? It's going to be more exciting than the great water fluoridation plebiscite. I don't know if you remember. Oh, I know, man.
I miss fluoride in my water, to be honest. I haven't gotten cavities, but
oh, my teeth.
Yeah. So I have an idea.
Okay.
Dropbear and Panda are going to be voting on Tuesday.
Yep.
Panda's a no. Dropbear is a yes.
I'm still a yes.
You want to put some money on it?
Yep. $100.
Shit. $100.
$100.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I would go sexual favors, but go $100 if you want to do cash.
Yeah, $100. Are they worth $100?
Maybe.
Well, we did talk earlier about how everybody should put in, if they put in $100 in Calgary, it'd be at least $1 billion. So $100.
And Nenshi, I will give you $100.
What?
Yeah.
So if
I'm gonna put my with my vote
$200 then.
Yeah, $200.
So you're just gonna wire Nenshi money? I'm
just gonna walk up to him and say, "Here's your $100."
Shove it in his pants.
No.
You do see him everywhere. So Dan is the witness.
Nenshi, I will not put it in your pants. I promise. Oh my god.
What kind of bear is Dan? We've got our grizzly bear, we've got our drop bear and a panda. Polar bear.
I'm not that husky though.
No, you're not there.
But
we also have a unicorn.
Global warming.
Yeah, that's true.
It's slimming. Global warming is slimming for polar bears.
You guys pick if I'm a polar bear. That's cool.
I don't know. We're gonna have to put some sort of something on it.
Kodiak.
Working too hard. How many different kinds of bears are there?
Like 5.
Brown bear, white bear, snow bear.
Snow bear.
Snow bear.
Well, we do have a unicorn.
No bear.
No bear?
He's no bear. Yeah, so no bear.
No beer bear?
No beer bear.
I think that's perfect. So, I think we have to stop it now because there's a very pretty lady who has come to our house.
That's right.
Yep. Otherwise known as Dan's better half.
Tamara.
Tamara. We're just going to call her Tamara.
We're not. That's cool.
Perfect. So this has been...
Season 1.
Episode 21.
I know, and you know that because you practiced earlier.
I did. Should be very proud of me.
Dropbear and Panda save the world.
Episode 21.
Season 1.
In the bag.
Yep.
$100.
That's true. I'm going to make $100.
Nope.
Nenshi, $100 coming your way.
In your pants.
No.
Dropbear and Panda, coming at you, Panda, coming at you like a locomotive on a motherfucking bender. Yeah, I my cool now my jab on me. Yeah, with Michael Doggies, yeah, you be checking on the flow, yo. Checking flow, you was quick, you can't pick my medical ranges, angles, tangles, you get tangled. Twisted side reflexes, child should be, can't compete with the owls that devour. Yeah, with the owls that devour, yeah. Yeah, Dropbear and Panda, coming at you, randa. Dropbear and Panda, coming at you, randa. Dropbear and Panda, coming at you, randa. It's like a locomotive blowing out to my normal champa. Dropbear and Panda, coming at you, randa. It's like a locomotive blowing out to my normal champa. Dropbear and Panda.